What's up guys, and welcome to the 29th tutorial in my PHP backend. So the previous tutorials we looked into a little bit about how middleware works, and so in this tutorial I'm going to keep continuing with the application domain. So we're going to implement this create color endpoint right here. So basically what we will be building is like you post this JSON and it inserts the data into the database. So in here in the colors table, we're gonna have a new color that we posted. So the first thing we need to do is disable the middleware that we built. We're gonna use it later, but just for the sake of this tutorial, we're gonna disable it so it doesn't get in our way. So in the post routes, I'm gonna go in here and remove it like this. All right, so there we are. I'm gonna go ahead and save it, and in the controller we're gonna take the body. So let me just fire dump that for you so you can see what it contains. And also I'm gonna use a die here so it doesn't continue. So in here I have a PHP array with a variable called color name, and it's gonna contain the value. So the first thing we need to do is create a new function in our repository. And the way to do is, since we're using the interface for everything, it's really important that you implement it here also, so that if we create some other kind of implementation of the repository, we will also have this function available to us. So I'm going to call it create color, and it's going to take a color as input. And also I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and in here I'm going to paste it in, remove the semicolon, and add a body. Alright, so I think the easiest is just like copy paste this and modify it. So we're going to use a prepared statements. So this is a select, so obviously this is not right, so we need to do an insert. So insert into, and then we should have the table name, which is color. So it's the table name in my database. So mine is named color, and then I give it the parentheses of the. This is the column that we're going to use. We're going to use the color name column, and it's this right here. And also we're going to specify the values, and I put a question mark in there. And also, by the way, if you don't know it, SQL is case insensitive, so you can make this uppercase or smaller case, but the convention is to keep them uppercase. And you can also see that my IDE highlights them when they're uppercase, so that's nice. And then we need to bind the parameters, and the first parameter here can either be an I, which stands for integer, or S, that stands for string. So this is going to be a string, and we're going to get the value from the color, and it's also going to be, if you remember in the post here, it's going to be this array we're going to use, so a color name. So color name like this. And we're going to execute it. We don't need to bind any result or anything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove this and return the color that we inserted. And the last thing we need to do is call this function from our controller. So I'm going to copy that, go into the endpoint. So if you remember, we have the repository available on the base class, the controller. So in here I use this in order to reference the class, and then I'm going to go ahead and use the repo and then create color, and I'm going to give it the body like this, and this will also return a result from the insertion. So I'm going to call res, or maybe it's better with like database result. And I'm also going to return this as the result from the endpoint. So right, so let's try it out. I'm going to start by checking what entries I have in my database. So you can see that this is the colors that I currently have. And I'm going to insert this new fancy color right here. So you can see it returned it just echoed back whatever I posted. And now in my database, I should have a new color in here, which I do. Fancy. All right, so this was just a quick repetition tutorial on how you should use the repository. And also, obviously, this doesn't validate any data whatsoever. And also, it doesn't do any kind of authentication or authorization. So in the next tutorial, I'm gonna go through how we can use middleware to solve these problems, and also start looking a little bit into authorization and authentication. So as I said before, just leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe, obviously, and please give me feedback on the videos so that I know if there is something that's unclear or need further explanation or anything. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.